Ladies and gentlemen, they say it takes years of discipline to change your life. What if I told you that was a lie? That the most powerful tool you have is just 5 minutes right before you fall asleep. Most people waste it. But if you use it correctly, you can rewire your entire reality. Every single night, your mind enters a state where it's most receptive. The thoughts you feed it in those final moments before sleep, they become the blueprint for your tomorrow. So, what are you planting? Tonight, I'm giving you a simple 5-minute method to manifest the life you want while you are sleeping. The silent power of night. The day is a symphony of demands. From the moment consciousness returns, the world makes its claim. The phone illuminates with its insistent notifications. A tiny rectangle that commands an astonishing amount of our attention, pulling us into a vortex of emails, messages, and the curated highlights of other people's lives. The commute is a river of metal and impatience, a collective sigh of frustration trapped behind steering wheels. The workplace, whether an office or a home, is a web of expectations, deadlines, and complex human interactions. Voices overlap in meetings. The chatter of colleagues forms a constant hum. And even in solitude, the internal monologue provides no respite. Replaying conversations, planning responses, worrying over unfinished tasks. This is the reality for so many. A perpetual state of reaction, a being that is acted upon by the external world. The mind in this state is like a lake in a storm. The surface is choppy, turbulent, and muddy, stirred from the bottom, making the water opaque. You cannot see your reflection in such water. You cannot see anything with clarity. The essence of who you are, your deeper intentions and quietest truths are lost beneath the tumult. This noise is not merely auditory. It is psychic, emotional, and spiritual. It is the weight of modern existence. But then the day relinquishes its grip, the sun retreats, and the artificial lights of the world one by one begin to wink out. The emails cease their flow. The phone finally rests silent and dark on the bedside table. The last car passes on the street outside, and a profound quiet begins to descend. This is not merely an absence of sound, it is the presence of something else entirely. It is a palpable silence that first fills the room and then, more importantly, begins to seep into you. It finds the cracks in the armor you've worn all day and slowly infiltrates. You lie down. The weight of your body is finally fully surrendered to the support of the bed. There is no more standing, no more holding yourself up against gravity. This simple act of horizontal surrender is the first permission you give yourself to let go, and then you begin to notice the change within. The breath, which throughout the day has been shallow and hurried, held in the chest like a trapped bird, now begins to deepen. It moves down into the belly, becoming slower, more rhythmic, more intentional with each exhalation. It feels as if you are releasing a small piece of the day's tension. A slight ache in the shoulder softens. The clenched jaw relaxes. The body, no longer needing to brace for the next demand, begins its true work of restoration. But the most significant transformation is occurring in the frantic pace of thoughts, the endless to-do list, the rehearsals and reruns of the day's events. They begin to lose their urgency. They are like snow globes that have been shaken vigorously all day long. Now, as you lie in the stillness, the snow begins to settle. Each flake drifts slowly down and the water within the globe becomes clear again. This is the process of clarification. This is the return to yourself. In this state, the boundary between the external world and your internal world softens. The silence outside becomes the silence within. The external chaos has ceased, and now the internal chaos is finally allowed to subside. This is a moment of incredible vulnerability and profound power. It is vulnerability because the defenses are down. The walls you built to navigate the noisy world are no longer needed. But it is power because in this state of undefended openness, you are at your most authentic. You are not performing for anyone. You are not managing perceptions. You are not striving or pushing. You are simply being. This is when you are closest to the raw, unedited truth of who you are beneath all the roles you play and the masks. It is precisely this quality that makes this nightly silence so potent, so fertile. Think of your conscious mind during the day as hard-packed earth. The sun has baked it solid. You can try to plant a seed in it, but it is difficult. The seed might sit on the surface, vulnerable to being washed away or eaten by birds. It cannot easily take root. This is like trying to affirm a new belief in the middle of a stressful day. The thought has no traction. It is quickly scattered by the next distraction. But the mind in this pre-sleep state is completely different. It has been plowed and watered by relaxation. It is soft, receptive, and deeply fertile. It is soil at its most perfect, dark, rich, and ready to receive. Any seed you place into this soil at this moment is accepted without resistance. It is embraced, enveloped, and taken deep into the earth where it can be protected and nurtured. This is the silent power of night. It is not a time of inactivity, but a time of immense quiet activity deep within the substrata of your own being. It is the foundation upon which the next day will be built. The quality of your night, the seeds you plant in its fertile silence, determines the quality of your dawn. Why most people struggle to manifest? There is a universal longing that resides in the human heart, a deep and persistent desire for things to be different, to be better. It is the yearning for a life that is not just endured but truly lived, a life of financial freedom, of vibrant health, of deep and meaningful relationships, of inner peace that is unshakable by external circumstances. People articulate these desires constantly. They say, I want to be successful, I want to find love, I want to feel happy and at ease. This is the conscious intention, the spoken wish offered up to the universe. But intention is only one half of the equation. And for most, it is the weaker, quieter half. The real work of creation happens not in the loud declarations of the day, but in the quiet, intimate conversations we have with ourselves in our most vulnerable moments. And for the vast majority, this internal conversation, especially in the critical window before sleep, is a litany of everything that stands in opposition to their stated desires. Consider the end of a typical day. The distractions have faded and the body is horizontal, but the mind is still racing. It is in this void that the unresolved elements of the day rush in to claim the empty space. It is not visions of success or feelings of gratitude that flood the mind. Instead, it is the replay of a slight from a colleague, the anxiety over an unpaid bill, the worry about a child's well-being, the regret over a missed opportunity, the fear of a future that looks uncertain and threatening. The mind left to its own devices defaults to its ancient survival set. It looks for problems. It scans for threats. It rehearses worst-case scenarios in a misguided attempt to prepare for them. So a person who says they want abundance lies in bed, meticulously calculating their debts, feeling the cold knot of anxiety tighten in their stomach. The image they are holding, the feeling they are marinating in, is one of lack and scarcity. Another who says they want love replace past heartbreaks and current loneliness, reinforcing a story of being unworthy or unlovable. They are generating and sitting in the very energy of what they claim they want to avoid. This is a great tragedy and a fundamental misunderstanding. The subconscious mind, the engine of manifestation, does not speak the language of words. It does not understand negation. It is a literal image-based, feeling-based system. It is like a master architect who is given a blueprint. The architect does not receive a list of what not to build. If you hand the architect a blueprint and say, now whatever you do, don't build a house with a leaky roof, the architect only sees the house. The instruction don't is lost. The subconscious operates in exactly the same way. When you fervently think, I don't want to be broke, the only powerful emotionally charged concepts in that sentence are I and broke. The don't is a grammatical abstraction that carries no weight. The subconscious receives the vivid image of being broke. Fueled by the potent emotion of fear that you attach to it, it accepts this as your command. It understands this to be the reality you are focused on and thus the reality you are asking it to help you create and maintain. Therefore, every night in a state of incredible psychic receptivity, most people are performing a ritual of reverse manifestation. They are not planting gardens, they are fertilizing weeds. The question is never if you are manifesting, but what you are manifesting. And for the person who falls asleep to a slideshow of their anxieties, they are manifesting a continuation of those very anxieties. They are ensuring that tomorrow will feel much like today because the foundational energy upon which it is built is identical. The cycle is self-perpetuating. A day of struggle leads to an evening of worry, which manifests another day of struggle, which confirms the need to worry. The key to breaking the cycle is not to try harder during the day, but to become the vigilant guardian of those last few minutes of night. To understand that what you focus on in that quiet darkness is the most important prayer you will ever utter. The 5-minute window before sleep. There exists in the rhythm of every single day a transition so subtle that most people miss it entirely. They close their eyes and simply expect sleep to come, unaware that they are bypassing one of the most potent psychological and spiritual gateways available to them. This is not a long process. It is not a complex ritual requiring years of mastery. It is a window, a brief aperture in time that opens and then closes, lasting perhaps only a few minutes. Science has given this state a name, the hypnagogic state, but naming it does not capture its essence. This is the frontier land, the liminal space where the solid logical structures of the waking world begin to soften and dissolve, where the mind starts to drift from the anchored shores of consciousness out into the vast deep ocean of the subconscious. It is a feeling you know well, even if you have never paid it any mind. That hazy drifting sensation where thoughts begin to lose their linearity, where logic gives way to image, where sense blends with dream. It is the moment when you are not quite here, but not quite there yet either. It is the bridge. To understand the power of this bridge, you must understand the nature of the two lands. It connects. On one side, you have the conscious mind. This is the part of you that navigates the day. It is the executive, the manager, the critic. It analyzes, calculates, worries, and plans. It is necessary for functioning in the world, but it is also a gatekeeper. It stands vigilant at the entrance to the deeper self, filtering information, judging what is permissible, what is rational, what is acceptable to let through. It is skeptical and often fearful, built to protect you. By maintaining the status quo for most of your waking life, this gatekeeper is on duty and trying to force a new idea past. It is often met with resistance. You try to affirm a new belief and the conscious mind immediately counters with evidence to the contrary. You try to visualize success and it projects images of past failures. It is a formidable god, but as you lie down to sleep, as the body relaxes and the breath deepens, the gatekeeper begins to tire, the defenses start to lower. The vigilant watch of the conscious mind begins to waver. Its attention drifts and it starts to fall asleep at its post. This is the moment the breach appears. This is the hypnagogic state, and on the other side of that breach lies the subconscious mind. If the conscious mind is the gatekeeper, the subconscious is the vast silent kingdom within. It is the storehouse of every experience, every emotion, every belief you have ever held. It is the seat of your creativity, your intuition, your autonomic bodily functions, and most importantly, it is the engine of your manifestation. It does not analyze or judge, it accepts. It takes whatever is given to it and works tirelessly to make it real in your experience. It operates on the language of feeling and image, not words. The brilliance of this 5-minute window is that the gatekeeper is drowsy, but the kingdom is wide awake and listening. The drawbridge is down, and the gods are not paying attention. This is the perfect, the only time to walk calmly and quietly right past the critical, analytical mind and deliver a message directly to the heart of the command center. You do not need to fight the god. You do not need to argue with it or convince it of anything. You simply wait for it to become distracted by the approach of sleep, and then you make your move. This is why the process is so effortless. It requires no force, only awareness. It requires you to simply be present enough to notice this transition and to use it with intention. This is also why duration is irrelevant and focus is everything. Hours of strained effort during the day trying to battle past your own doubts are worse than a single minute of focused clarity in this state. Because in this state there is no filter. The message is delivered pure, uncorrupted by skepticism. A single seed planted in this fertile ground, in this perfect silence, has more potential for growth than 1,000 seeds scattered on the hard sun-baked earth of the busy day. The mind in this state is like soft clay, receptive and impressionable. A thought held here, a feeling nurtured here, sinks in deeply and leaves a lasting imprint. It is written into the fundamental code of your being. This is not about adding more to your to-do list. It is about the quality of a few minutes, not the quantity. It is about recognizing that this transition, which you undergo every single night of your life, is not a blank space to be wasted on the replay of the day's worries, but is instead a sacred opportunity. It is a daily gift of access to the deepest part of yourself. To use it is to recognize that the most powerful changes often require the least amount of struggle. They simply require showing up at the right time with a clear intention and then letting go. how the mind stores nighttime seeds. The process of change is often imagined as a dramatic event, a sudden breakthrough, a monumental effort that shifts everything at once. We look for the grand gesture, the life-altering decision, the Herculean act of will finally set us on the right path. But this is as a misunderstanding of how the human psyche actually operates. Lasting change, deep transformation does not happen through earthquake-like events, but through a constant, subtle, almost imperceptible process of accumulation. It happens drop by drop. The mind, particularly the subconscious mind, which is the architect of our reality, is built not for revolution, but for evolution. It learns through repetition. It accepts through consistency. It is programmed not by a single loud command, but by a quiet, persistent whisper that is repeated over and over until it becomes the only voice that is heard. Imagine your subconscious mind as a vast empty cup. This cup is your foundational state, the container of your essential energy and beliefs. From the moment you are born, this cup begins to be filled. Every experience, every word spoken to you, every thought you think is like a single drop of liquid falling into this cup. In the beginning, the drops are separate. A single drop of encouragement from a parent, a drop of fear from a childhood incident, a drop of joy from a moment of play. They seem isolated, but slowly over time, these drops begin to accumulate. They merge. They form a pool and then a body of water with a certain character. If the majority of the drops are of anxiety, of criticism, of lack, then the water in the cup becomes murky, bitter, and heavy. This is the cup most people carry without even realizing it. They wonder why they feel a constant sense of unease, why they seem to attract struggle, not understanding that the very essence they are composed of, the energy they are radiating, is the sum total of all these accumulated drops. Now consider your nightly routine. The moments before sleep are not a neutral space. They are a time of intense focus for the subconscious. As the conscious mind recedes, the subconscious becomes more receptive. It is like the cup is held steady, open, waiting that you choose to focus on. In these moments is the drop you are adding to your cup that night. For most people, this is an involuntary process. They add a drop of regret from something they said that day. They add a drop of anxiety about a meeting tomorrow. They add a drop of resentment, a drop of fear, a drop of lack. They are diligently, though unknowingly, adding to the bitter water, making it darker, making it heavier, night after night. This is their practice, and the law of accumulation is unwavering. A cup, no matter how large, will it fill, and when it fills, it overflows. This overflow is not contained. It spills out into your life. It becomes your reality, your perceptions, your reactions, your opportunities. They are all filtered through the quality of the water in your cup. If it is water of lack, you will see lack everywhere. If it is water of fear, you will see threat in every opportunity. But this law, which works so relentlessly against you when left on autopilot, can become your greatest ally when you approach it with consciousness. You cannot go back and remove the old drops. The transformation happens not through subtraction, but through a new consistent addition. You consciously choose a new drop. You choose a single positive, powerful thought, a feeling of gratitude, an image of abundance, a sensation of peace. And each night in that receptive state, you add this one drop to your cup. At first it seems futile. One clear drop in a vast cup of murky water. What change can it possibly make? It seems to disappear completely. This is where faith and consistency are required. You must trust the process of accumulation. You must do it not once, not twice, but night after night after night. You are not trying to change the water all at once. You are simply changing the nature of what you are adding to it. Slowly, imperceptibly, the character of the water begins to change. The new drops, all of the same frequency, begin to find each other. They start to coalesce. The water becomes a little less bitter, a little less murky. The process is slow, but it is inevitable. The law of accumulation guarantees it. If you consistently add a drop of peace, eventually the cup will fill with peace and overflow into your life as a peaceful reality. You are not fighting the old water, you are simply diluting it with a new essence until the new essence becomes the dominant. This is how the mind stores nighttime seeds. It does not need a grand gesture. It needs the humble, consistent daily act of choosing the right drop to add to your cup, trusting that the ocean is made of drops and that your life is made of the same. The science of stillness and repetition. We often speak of change in terms of action, of doing, of effort. We believe that to become something new, we must strive, we must push, we must force a new reality into being through sheer will. But this perspective overlooks a fundamental truth about the nature of the human system. A truth that is revealed not in movement, but in absolute stillness. There is a power in stillness that is often mistaken for passivity, for doing nothing. But to the contrary, it is in this state of profound quiet that the most potent internal work is accomplished. This is not a mystical concept, it is a physiological fact. The state of the body dictates the state of the mind. When the body is agitated, tense and filled with the restless energy of the day, the mind is a mirror to this condition. It is scattered, reactive and turbulent. It is like a lake stirred up by a great wind. The surface is broken into 1,000 chaotic waves and the depths are clouded with sediment. In such a state you cannot see clearly. You cannot perceive your own reflection with any accuracy. Your thoughts are reactions to the surface chaos, not expressions from the deep calm truth of who you are. But when you consciously choose to become still, something remarkable begins to happen. You lie down, you release the physical tension held in the shoulders, the jaw, the hands. You allow the skeleton to be fully supported by the earth beneath you. There is no more holding yourself up. This physical surrender is the first and most critical step. Then you turn your attention to the breath. The breath is the bridge between the body and the mind, the voluntary and the involuntary. Throughout the day, the breath is shallow, a mere sip of air held high in the chest, a reflection of a mind that is perpetually braced for the next task, the next interaction, the next minor emergency. But now you deepen it. You inhale slowly, not to tense the body, but to expand it. You exhale fully, not as a gasp of relief, but as a long, slow, intentional release of everything that no longer serves you. With each exhalation, you are not just expelling carbon dioxide, you are expelling worry, you are expelling urgency. You are expelling the accumulated mental static of the last 12 hours. As the body settles into this deep relaxation and the breath finds a slow rhythmic pattern, the brain has no choice but to follow its electrical activity begins to change. The fast beta brain waves that characterize our waking active state, the waves of analysis, logic, and external focus begin to recede. They are replaced by slower, more rhythmic waves. First alpha waves emerge associated with a state of calm alertness of relaxed focus. This is the state you might find yourself in when gazing at a beautiful sunset where the internal chatter quietens and you are simply present. But if you maintain the stillness, if you continue to breathe deeply and let go, the brain descends even further into theta. Theta waves are the waves of the hypnagogic state, the twilight zone between waking and sleeping. This is the realm of vivid imagery, deep intuition, and profound emotional connection. It is the state where the critical analytical gatekeeper of the conscious mind is offline and the vast accepting library of the subconscious is open for business, which is why they learn so quickly and absorb their environment so completely. And if you drift deeper still, you touch delta, the slow rolling waves of dreamless sleep, of complete unconsciousness and physical restoration. It is in these states, particularly theta, that the mechanism of repetition is transformed in the beta state of your waking hours. Repetition is often an act of force. You try to affirm a new belief and the conscious mind immediately counters with a logical argument. The repetition feels hollow, like lying to yourself. But in the theta state, repetition is not an argument. It is a gentle implantation. It is programming. The subconscious mind does not deal in logic. It deals in patterns. It accepts what is presented to it consistently and with emotional resonance. A thought, a feeling, an image repeated in this state bypasses all your internal defenses and is accepted as a new pattern, a new truth. It is written directly into the operating system. Modern neuroscience confirms this. Brain plasticity. The ability of the brain to rewire itself is heightened in these states. The neural pathways that fire together as you repeat a phrase or feeling with focused intention begin to wire together. You are literally carving a new road in your mind, making it easier for your thoughts to travel down this new path automatically. This is the science of stillness. The stillness of the body creates the stillness of the mind, which allows for the brainwave states that facilitate deep learning and change. The repetition is the tool that carves the new neural pathway. Together they form a complete process. The stillness creates the perfect receptive conditions, and the repetition provides a new seed that will be planted in that fertile ground. It is not magic, it is the innate technology of your own being waiting to be used with intention. A step-by-step 5-Newton miracle method. Knowing the theory is one thing, but knowledge without action is like a map you never use. It can tell you where the treasure is, but it cannot dig it up for you. The treasure for transformed life is buried not in some distant land, but in the quiet minutes that precede your sleep each night. To unearth it, you do not need complex tools or years of esoteric training. You need a simple, repeatable method, a practice so straightforward that its power might be easily overlooked, yet so profound that its consistent application can redefine the very fabric of your existence. This is not about adding another burdensome task to your day. It is about transforming a period of wasted potential into the most valuable 5 minutes you will ever spend. The beauty of this method is in its simplicity, for complexity is often the enemy of execution. When a task feels too large, too vague, or too difficult, the mind finds excuses to avoid it. But this is a practice with no barriers to entry. It requires only you, your breath, and your intention. It begins the moment you decide that tonight will be different. That tonight you will not simply fall asleep, but you will choose how you enter the world of sleep. The first step is one of physical preparation. You must signal to your entire organism that the time for doing is over and the time for being has begun. You lie down in your bed. This is not a collapse out of exhaustion. It is a conscious, deliberate act of surrender. You find a position that is comfortable, where no muscle is straining, where your body can feel fully supported. You might adjust the pillow, you might pull the covers up. You might simply let your arms rest by your sides. This physical act is the foundation. It is you telling your body, we are safe now, we can let go. There is nothing more to do. This is the initial permission slip for relaxation to flood through you. Once the body is positioned, you turn your attention inward away from the external world and toward the internal landscape. The most effective tool for this inward journey is the one that is always with you, your breath. You take 3 breaths, but these are not ordinary breaths. The first deep inhalation is an active drawing in of peace, of calm, of a new possibility. You imagine you are breathing in a quiet, clear light, and the exhalation is a release of the entire day. You are not just breathing out air. You are breathing out the tension, the conversations, the worries, the frustrations. You are expelling it all. The second breath goes even deeper. The inhalation draws in a sense of safety and tranquility. The exhalation releases any remaining physical tightness you can find in your shoulders, your back, your face. The third breath is the deepest of all. You inhale a feeling of potential and you exhale anything else that is left that does not serve you. With these 3 breaths, you have created a vacuum, an empty space. You have cleared the stage. Now with the stage clear, you introduce the main actor. This is not a long monologue. It is a single, powerful line. You choose one simple sentence. Its power lies not in its complexity, but in its clarity and its emotional resonance for you. It must be stated in the present tense as if it is already true. I am abundant. I am loved. I am healthy and strong. I am at peace. You do not say I will be or I want to be. You speak it as your current reality. This sentence is the seed you have chosen to plant in the fertile soil of your mind. And now you repeat it not with the frantic energy of trying to convince yourself, but with the quiet, gentle rhythm of a lullaby. You whisper it in your mind. You feel the words for I am abundant. You might feel a sensation of warmth and security in your chest. For I am healthy and strong. You might feel a vibrant humming energy in yourselves. You do not just think the words. You generate the feeling that the words represent. You allow that feeling to wash over you. You marinate in it. This combination of mental focus and emotional engagement is what gives the seed its life. You do not try to force yourself to think it all night long. You simply allow it to be the last conscious thought you hold. You release it into the depths of your mind. Just as you would drop a seed into the earth, you trust that the soil will do its work. You surrender to sleep knowing that you have planted something of great value. The work is done. There is no more effort required. You drift off not in a state of lack and worry, but in a state of fulfilled intention. This is the method. Its power is not in a single performance, but in the unwavering consistency of its application. Night after night, you return to this practice. You clear the stage, you plant the seed, and you trust the process. You are not just going to sleep. You are programming your future one peaceful night at a time, shifting from chaos to calm before bed. The intention is clear, the method is simple, yet for so many, the greatest obstacle appears not in the practice itself, but in the moments leading up to it. You can know exactly what to do. You can lie down with the full desire to plant a positive seed, and yet find your mind is a raging storm. It is a torrent of thoughts, a replay of every conversation, a list of every task left undone, a rehearsal of every potential problem tomorrow might bring. The body is lying in bed, but the mind is still running at full speed, trapped in the endless loop of the day's energy. Trying to plant a seed in such a mind is like trying to plant a delicate seedling in the middle of a hurricane. The seed is ripped away before it can even touch the soil. The storm will not be ignored. It must be respectfully acknowledged and then gently calmed. You cannot force the mind to be still through brute will. That very effort is just another form of storm, a fight against the wind that only creates more turbulence. The shift from chaos to calm is not a battle to be won. It is a transition to be facilitated. It is the art of creating a buffer zone, a sacred space between the day's demands and the night's receptivity. This buffer zone is a declaration, it is you telling the world and yourself that the time for external engagement is over and the time for internal restoration has begun. It is a ritual that signals a change of state, much like a conductor lowering his baton to signal the end of a loud frenetic movement and the beginning of a soft gentle adagio. The first and perhaps most important act in creating this buffer is to sever the digital tether. The light from screens, phones, computers, tablets is not just light. It is a signal of alertness beamed directly into your brain, tricking it into believing the sun is still high and it is time to be awake and reactive. The content on those screens is a direct injection of the world's chaos. New social comparisons, work emails, endless notifications. Turning them off physically, putting them in another room is not a deprivation. It is an act of liberation. It is the first deep breath of freedom from the constant pull of the external world. It is you saying for the next period of time, I belong only to myself. With the primary source of noise removed, you can now attend to the environment. The harsh overhead electric light that illuminated dusks of the day is too bright, too clinical for this transition. Dimming the lights, or better yet lighting a single candle or using a soft salt lamp, changes the entire atmosphere of the room. The sharp edges of objects soften in the low light, shadows deepen, the space feels quieter, safer, more intimate. This visual cue is a powerful message to the nervous system that the time for high alert is passing. Then perhaps a warm drink, not a stimulant like coffee, but something warm and soothing. Herbal tea, warm water with lemon, a simple cup of warm milk. The warmth travels through your hands into your body, a physical sensation of comfort and care. This is not about consumption. It is about the ritual of holding something warm, of focusing on a simple sensory experience that is happening right here, right now, not in the past or the future. Then you sit, not yet lying down, but simply sitting on the edge of your bed or in a comfortable chair. And you do nothing. You simply sit in silence for 2 minutes. This may be the most challenging part of all, to just sit. The storm will immediately rush in to fill the silence. This is expected. The mind unused to such quiet will rebel. It will shout its lists and its worries. The practice here is not to stop the thoughts, but to stop engaging with them. You watch them like clouds passing in the sky. You notice the thought about the work email and you let it drift by. You notice the anxiety about tomorrow's meeting and you watch it float away. You are not the clouds. You are the sky, vast and unchanging behind the temporary weather. You breathe. You anchor your attention on the physical sensation of the breath entering and leaving your body. Each breath is an anchor dropping you deeper into the present moment, the only place where calm truly exists. You are not trying to achieve a perfect state of blankness. You are simply allowing the chaos to settle, just as you would allow muddy water to clear by letting it sit undisturbed. You are waiting for the rain to pass. You are creating the conditions of stillness so that when you finally lie down to begin the 5-and-out method, the soil of your mind is soft, receptive, and ready to receive the seed you wish to plant. This buffer is not an extra step. It is the essential preparation of the ground. It is the difference between throwing a seed onto concrete and planting it in deep, rich, prepared earth. Change through small rituals. We are a species that learns through story. Abstract concepts can inspire us. But it is the narrative, the lived experience of another human being that truly shows us what is possible. It provides the proof, the tangible evidence that a principle is not just a theory, but a functional reality. The story of transformation through a small, consistent nightly ritual is not a single story, but a pattern that repeats itself across countless lives. It is a pattern that is often invisible to the outside world. Because the change begins not with a dramatic external event, but with a quiet internal shift. It begins in the dark, in the silence, in the most private space. A person has their own mind just before sleep. The changes that follow are not usually the stuff of Hollywood movies. They are subtler, deeper, and far more enduring. They are the changes that reshape a life from the inside out. Consider a man, let's call him David, who for years was plagued by a deep and pervasive sense of self-doubt. It was a constant whisper in his ear, a filter through which he saw every opportunity. A promotion at work wasn't a chance to grow. It was a potential stage for his inevitable failure. A social invitation wasn't a pleasant outing. It was an arena where he might see something foolish. His life had become smaller and smaller, constrained by this invisible cage of doubt. He heard about this simple practice and out of a sense of desperation more than belief. He began every night as he lay in the dark. He would repeat one simple phrase, "I trust myself." At first it felt like a lie. His mind would immediately counter with a list of all the reasons he shouldn't be trusted, all the past mistakes and poor judgments. But he persisted. He didn't fight the counter-arguments. He just gently returned to the phrase, "I trust myself." He focused on the feeling of what it would be like to truly have that unwavering self-trust. Weeks went by. There was no sudden moment of enlightenment, but he began to notice small things. In a meeting, when asked for his opinion, he heard himself speak with a little more conviction. When faced with a decision, he felt a slight lean toward one option, a quiet nudge of intuition that he began to follow. Instead of second-guessing, the cage, bolt by bolt, was becoming less rigid. His confidence wasn't a loud, arrogant thing. It was a quiet, steady hum within him. The ritual did not make him infallible. It simply gave him a tool to quiet the voice of doubt and listen to the voice of trust that had been there all along, just drowned out. Or consider a woman, let's call her Sarah, for whom financial anxiety was a constant grinding pressure. Bills were a source of panic. Conversations about money filled her with dread, and the future looked like a bleak landscape of scarcity. Her worry was so intense it was paralyzing. It prevented her from thinking clearly or seeing opportunities. She began her nightly practice with the phrase, "Money flows to me easily." The first few times she almost laughed at the absurdity, but she committed to the feeling behind the words, the sensation of relief, of security, of ease. She didn't know how the money would flow. She just focused on the feeling of it already happening. The change did not manifest as a suitcase of cash on her doorstep. The change happened inside her first. The panic that usually gripped her when she thought about money began to lessen. It was replaced by a strange, quiet calm. With this new calm, her mind, which had been frozen by fear, began to thaw and become active. She noticed a small, overlooked opportunity for freelance work. She had a clear idea for a side project. She made a rational, unemotional decision to cancel an unnecessary subscription. The calm led to clarity, and the clarity led to action. The action led to new streams of income. The phrase "money flows to me easily" became a self-fulfilling prophecy, not through magic, but because the ritual changed her internal state from one of lack, which attracts more lack, to one of openness and calm readiness, which attracts opportunity. External world had to rearrange itself to match her new internal vibration. These stories are not unique. They are a testament to the compound interest of a small, consistent investment in the self. It is not about a single powerful night. It is about the relentless application of a simple practice night after night until the cumulative effect becomes a tidal wave of change that washes through every aspect of your life, the hidden key letting go while you sleep. There is a point in this process where effort must end and trust must begin. This is the critical juncture where so many well-intentioned journeys toward change falter and fail. It is the point of surrender. We live in a culture that prizes control, that celebrates the relentless application of willpower. We are taught to grip tighter, to push harder, to never let go until we have achieved our desired outcome. This mindset serves us well in the external world of action and accomplishment, but it is the absolute opposite of what is required when working with the deep internal subconscious processes of the mind. The conscious mind, the part of you that is reading these words, is the part that strives. It is the gardener who tills the soil, who selects the seed, who carefully plants it at the perfect depth. But after the planting is done, the gardener does not stand over the seed shouting at it to grow. He does not dig it up each morning to inspect its progress, frantic to see a sprout. Such behavior would ensure the seed's death. It would disturb the delicate process, expose the tender beginnings to the harsh air, and break the very roots that are trying to form in the darkness below. The wise gardener understands his role. He does his part with care and intention, and then he steps back. He trusts the intelligence of the seed and the nurturing power of the soil. He allows nature to take its course. He lets go. This exact principle is the hidden key to the entire practice we have been discussing. Your conscious mind's job is to choose the seed, the clear, positive feeling, rich intention. Its job is to prepare the soil through the buffer of calm and to plant that seed with focus and emotional resonance during the hypnagogic state, and then its job is finished. The most important action it can now take is inaction. It must release its grip completely. It must surrender the outcome. To cling to the desire after the planting is to communicate a profound lack of faith to the subconscious. It is to tell the deeper part of your mind, I do not trust you to do this. I must maintain control. This clinging energy is one of tension and lack. It is the energy of not having, of wanting, of striving. And since the subconscious manifests based on the feeling and energy you provided, clinging will manifest more clinging, more wanting, more lack. It strangles the very possibility you are trying to create. Letting go, on the other hand, is the energy of trust. It is the energy of already having. When you plant the seed of I am abundant, and then you release all anxiety about money and fall into a peaceful sleep, you are emitting the vibrational frequency of abundance, which is peace and trust. The subconscious receives that frequency as your reality and works to match your outer world to it. Sleep is the ultimate act of surrender. Every night you willingly relinquish control of your entire conscious existence. You hand over the reins to your autonomic nervous system, to your dreaming mind, to the deep healing and processing functions of your body and brain. You trust that your heart will keep beating, that your lungs will keep breathing, that you will wake up in the morning. This innate natural act of trust is the perfect partner to manifestation. After you have planted your seed, sleep is the greenhouse where it is allowed to germinate undisturbed in the warm, dark, fertile silence. Your conscious mind is offline. The critical, doubting, controlling self is gone. The subconscious is free to work without interference, to integrate the new programming, to begin weaving the new belief into the very fabric of your being, to form new neural connections that will make the desired outcome feel natural and inevitable. Trying to control the outcome is like trying to consciously command your body to digest food or heal a cut. You cannot do it. It is a process that must happen autonomously on a level deeper than your conscious will. You must trust the intelligence within you that knows how to do these things. Letting go is not abandon. It is the highest form of faith. It is acknowledging that you have done your part and now you allow a greater intelligence within you to do the rest. You set the intention and then you set yourself free from it, knowing that the process is already in motion. This release is what allows the seed to sink its roots deep into the unknown, to draw upon nutrients you cannot see, and to eventually break the surface in its own perfect time. A new way to wake up to life. The expectation of a miracle upon waking is perhaps the greatest obstacle to experiencing the subtle, powerful, and very real miracle that is actually taking place. We are conditioned by stories to look for the dramatic reveal, the lottery ticket lying on the bedside table, the phone call with the dream job offer, the complete and instantaneous transformation of our circumstances. When transformation doesn't appear on the first morning or the second, the conscious mind grows restless. It craves quick rewards, visible signs, and undeniable proof. When those don't arrive on schedule, the impatient mind is quick to declare the practice a failure. But this judgment is rooted in a misunderstanding. It is looking in the wrong direction, toward the outer world, toward material shifts, toward instant gratification. Yet the external is always the last to change. Real lasting transformation begins with. It is born in silence, nurtured in patience, and revealed slowly like a seed breaking the soil after days of invisible growth. The first signs of change are not grand or obvious. They are subtle, almost hidden. They show up not in possessions or circumstances, but in the inner landscape of your thoughts and emotions. You may not wake to a new job, a new relationship, or a new opportunity waiting at your door. But you may wake to something far more important, a moment of quiet where anxiety used to sit, a stillness where chaos used to reign, a lightness in your chest as if an unseen burden has been gently lifted. Or perhaps you notice a shift in the tone of your thoughts, less dread, more openness, a faint sense of possibility where before there was only the heaviness of repetition. This is not nothing. This is everything. These subtle shifts are the evidence that something deep within you has begun to change. They are the first tender shoots of a new life sprouting from the soil of your practice. The old energy of lack is giving way to the new energy of potential. And this internal transformation is the foundation for everything else that follows. As you continue, night after night, this energy gathers strength. The sprout becomes a seedling, then a strong plant rooted in fertile ground. What began as a faint possibility grows into a quiet confidence. What started as a fleeting sense of relief becomes a steady, sustaining energy that carries you through the day. Your perspective shifts, your responses change, your very presence evolves. This change is not passive, it is active, creative, generative. Because you feel calmer, you no longer react with panic but respond with clarity. Because you feel confidence, you dare to speak where once you were silent. Because you feel open, you see opportunities that were invisible before. Even your body reflects this new frequency. Your posture straightens, your eyes shine differently, your words carry more weight. You are not chasing things anymore. You are becoming someone new, someone for whom those things are naturally aligned. This is resonance. This is the true essence of attraction. The right people, opportunities, and resources appear not as miracles, but as the logical outcome of who you have become. And it all begins in those final 5 minutes before sleep. They are not wasted moments. They are sacred minutes in which you write the script of tomorrow. Each night you choose, will you script fear or will you script abundance? Your future self is listening.